Live in 3. Hold on, let me hit the button. 3, 2, 1. We're live.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Bro Show Live, episode 35. I'm Skilbo, and the panel is here, and I see we got people in chat already. What's going on, everybody?
Oh, yeah. What's up, panel? What's up, chat? We got some of our panel here, some of our panels at home sick. We're going to work through it and try to be something a little bit more interesting than what your normal TV has been this week, which is all the same topic, I'm sure. Spartan's fresh in off of hosting the Cheap Home Grow podcast. Shout out to those guys. Good job, Spartan. We were just doing some pre-show with Eagle, talking about what he was going to smoke. Him and Skilbo were bragging about what they shared with each other while Eagle was down and I wasn't there. So that was cool. So maybe you guys can talk about that. How's everyone doing?
I'm doing good, man. Doing really good. I'm happy not to have to host, so I can eat my cookie now. So I'm super excited about that.
You got one of those Spartan cookies there?
Yeah, they're probably about 150 milligrams or so.
Put your beard up, buddy. Take a load off. You've relaxed at this point now. There you go.
Put your beard up and take a load off. All right, well, let's go around. I think Red will be here a little bit later. He's usually driving back and gets caught in traffic and stuff. So thank you, panelists, and thank you, viewers, for being here. Like the show, share the show with a friend. Tell your friends that we're live. A lot of people forget or don't get notifications for some reason. We really appreciate all that stuff. Eagle, where can everyone find you? Eagle shared this shit from 3 Instagram accounts, by the way. So props to Eagle.
What's up? You can find me on Instagram mainly as Eagle Gardens 1. You can find me on YouTube, and of course, hopefully you can find me each week here on this show. Great to be here. Can't wait to smoke a huge fatty, talk some cannabis with you guys, and have some good times.
You say hopefully that you can be found here every week, like we're going to kick you off or something. Spartan, what's up, man? Where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Spartan Grown. You can find me at work, also on Instagram at Mint and Canico. Which, shout out, we actually looks like we're going to be approved for rec. We passed our inspection, so hopefully within a week or so, maybe. I don't know how long it's going to take, but we'll be rec, so that's exciting.
Congratulations to you and Matt, man.
Yeah, super stoked about that. And or find me right here on YouTube, right? Or so what is this? Michigan Bros Grow Show.
I remember which of your 7 shows you're on.
Can we talk about that later, Spartan? How much do you know about that rec med thing? Like, can I ask you questions about that?
You can ask me questions, sure.
See what you know. Cool. Well, thank you, Spartan, for joining us. I really appreciate it. So you spend a lot of time. We were just talking about the pre-show, actually, how you're the you're the only one, you and Skilbo, that have made every show. So I believe, because I've missed one and everyone else has missed one. So
now you're putting all the pressure on me. Now I'm going to go down or something.
It's just letting you know. It was kind of cool. We were talking about how usually when someone's sick or somebody's off that we have more popular shows, and that's really funny to me.
Yeah, I told him if I get sick and I can't be on for 2 weeks, you motherfuckers better not replace me.
You running on that Jeff Lowenfield theory there. If you miss one, somebody will fill your spot.
Yeah, I'm just taping the leaves back, bro.
I'm digging Red's visor light. That's fucking badass.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's do Canna Kate. You are up next.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for being here tonight. You can find me on Instagram at the Canna Kate or here on Sunday nights.
Thank you for joining us. Johnny Sack in the chat says he set his alarm this time, so he didn't miss the show. He mentioned your name, Kate, so that's why I said that right there.
Hey,
thanks for joining us, Kate. And Red Setter, welcome. What's up with your hat light?
What's going on? Can you hear me? I'm using my earbuds right now.
Yeah, you sound like you're talking through you sound like you're talking through a Campbell's soup can, but we love having you here, brother.
It might be worse on my laptop. Yeah, sorry, I might not be too much involved in the dialogue tonight. I got a ton of work that I'm trying to get done while I'm transplanting, but I'm totally here. I'm going to take breaks and burn with you guys. I'm Red Setter Farm. You guys can find me on Instagram or right here on the show. Cheers, everybody. Pleasure to be here tonight with the panel and all you broskies in chat and tuning in. What's up, everybody? And you know what? If I get a chance, I'll try to take a tour through the rooms too. Sorry to keep blabbing.
No problem at all. Maybe you'll be able to give us a visual tour rather than an audio one this time. Depends on how your connection keeps up.
You know, I just caught myself coughing here, and I realized something. I was like, only on this show and in this kind of context can you cough right now and not get the crazy eye from everybody around you that kind of like pulls back from you. So,
well, we made it 6 minutes without talking about it. Skillbo, good job.
Hey,
no, it's laughing.
On that last show, I just like, I'm going to talk about it right from the get go, and we're going to get over it, get done with it, and boom, let's go past, and we'll have a show.
Of course, it does suck. Everybody stay safe. You know, wash your hands, smoke, filter all of your air through weed, and that's what I'm going to do right now.
Eagle, what did you just hold up?
That was the Beautiful Loser.
That's some bomb smoke right there.
I can't wait till I can pass it along a little bit further, get a little bit more so I can pass it around.
Let's talk about that because Skillbo's holding up Beautiful Loser. You came down and you guys had a little bit of a sesh. You guys both, you're both feeling fine afterwards, so congrats about that. How did that go? How was the cannabis?
Oh man, it's fantastic. He hooked me up with so many samples. I got Beautiful Loser. I got some Primal Punch F2. I have some Ethos OGO. I have some Insane in the Membrane. I have so much shit, dude. I have some Buttercream Haze. That's a Can of Queen. And I have some of the Empire Breedings Dominatrix. And this is great smoke.
Yeah, it was awesome. I enjoyed fucking being able to sit down in an intimate one-on-one, being able to smoke and talk without a bunch of music blasting and whatnot. People trying to overtalk a crowd. It was nice. We should all get together and do that. Well, you guys have, of course, but I would like to be able to do it.
I was just gonna say we do sometimes, Eagle. You just gotta show up.
They're just fucking with us, Eagle, because we're like on the outskirts.
Meet me halfway.
Yeah, man.
Skillbo did.
Halfway.
You made me go all the way one way. Shit. Come on now. You gotta give me a little bit of
Eagle, it's a 90-10. You go 90, I go 10, and then we smooch.
The only 90-10s I do are those indica leaners from back in the day, man.
Eagle, buddy, you get to live in fucking paradise, man. That's the trade-off, man. There's always a trade-off. We don't get to live in paradise.
Is that what you call it? I still have snow.
This coming from the guy who works in fucking paradise, right?
I still have snow.
Really? Let's trade, Spartan. I'll trade you any day's fucking scenery. God damn, snow for butts.
Cabin fever, man.
Let's be fair here.
To be fair, though, Spartan does not have any windows in any room at his work, so that sucks, right? It's practically a jail.
Oh yeah, it's not terrible.
The first topic that I had read about was actually COVID related, but I thought it was really interesting. It was talking about how cannabis retailers are reporting fewer customers, but larger purchases as customers stock up on products in case the things get shut down and that kind of thing. Stores are implementing extra precautions, blah, 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 stuff like that. So I was reading that today. And somebody was talking about how they were doing a $90 million deal in relation to this stuff. So pretty crazy stuff.
It's pretty crazy how it's already impacting our industry. The hash bash being canceled and all that other stuff. People, I don't, it's quite a big scare, but the sickness itself is one thing, but I don't think people are going to realize and how far it's really going to shake down, especially with these schools being closed down. How many parents aren't going to be able to make it to work? How many of them parents are actually healthcare people that won't be able to make it to work and fight stuff? And it's just, it could get crazy from here on out. I hope it doesn't affect us too badly.
Really bummed that Hash Bash is canceled, like people are saying in the chat. It really sucks for everyone. Of course, safety is paramount to the world. But
What's that? 50 years, and this is the first one that hasn't been to go through. Well, they're going to reschedule it, they said, but not on the annual day.
I mean, I would bet that some people are still going to do it, just like they unofficially did it 50 years ago, you know, but it just won't be an official capacity event like it is these days. You know, there's going to be some people standing out there that don't care about whatever somebody said about the rules, you know.
Oh, for sure, man.
It's always been a protest event. Not that I'm saying to do that, but that's been what the event was all about. That's how it started, so.
I read someone say something about there'll be a lot of Darwin Awards given out.
I don't know. I just think, you know, even though it's impossible, if we could get everybody to just fucking get on the same page and not be around somebody else for 14 days, the whole thing goes away. But we can't get anybody to do that.
Can't be away from you that long, Spartan.
I know, man.
It's those eyes.
It's those soulful eyes. They draw us in.
I can't help. I can't change my eyes, man.
Smoke more weed, they'll change. Trust me, bro.
All right, so somebody missed who it was. Hold on, I'll scroll back up. But they asked, what's like our plan? Oh, right here, Zoro PB in chat. Shout out to you. So, what's the game plan at Mitten Canico if you know, we get a lockdown? Well, we have a pull-out couch or a couch with a pull-out bed. We have flat screen TV. We have cable there, internet there, a couple bathrooms, kitchen. Somebody will be there. Not a problem.
I bet it's Matt.
It'll be Matt or be Steven, one of those two.
Matt seems like so like, no offense to anyone else there, but so dedicated to what he's doing and like the way he's into the plants.
Absolutely,
really like that about him.
Yep. We all in our own way have our own strengths and weaknesses, and Matt's he's a lot like me. Where as far as he's really actually he's a lot more than me, as far as like he's got all the numbers down.
I was just gonna say, like for me, it's like dedicated data driving. You know what I mean? That's his thing. He's on the ball. He marks everything.
It's amazing to be able to say, hey, what parameter was different between this one and that one, and he just a lot of times can just boom tell you off the top of his head, but if not, he can find it. So it really is it is really powerful to have that information.
It's really
power
crazy
of the spreadsheet, man.
Showed me the spreadsheet he had of all your guys' harvests, and you go, he could be like, this harvest right here had a calcium lockout on week 4. And this was impacting the yield in this way, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
But those are things that you could be doing at yourself. Like you, as a home grower, can literally do that shit yourself. It's not like you have to spend $5,000 on software. You just have to have a little basic understanding on how formulas work.
It's just proof that he's learned a little bit more stuff than I've learned, you know, and that like made it a little bit farther because of that, I'm sure. And writing stuff down is really, really powerful thing to do, because you can't rely on memory and all of that, but just the fact that he had it all right there on his phone, and he could just go back and be like, you know, 3 crops ago, this was the problem that we had, and this is how we fixed it. It was like super, super neat.
Efficiency.
Well, yeah,
Red, you're back.
It's just powerful to be able to say this is what happened, so that instead of you're just guessing and just repeating the same mistakes, you know.
I kind of talked about that in the grow off chat. We had a question from somebody, actually I wrote that down, and it was in relation to what the best strains were to grow in Michigan. And I'm going to look up the question while I
think it was specifically outdoor strains, and they were
right.
powdery mildew.
Right. And that I was saying that I had a plant that went into flower really early last year. And someone mentioned how rare that was or whatever. And I said, yeah, but all you got to do is write it down one time, and then you know forever that you have a plant that goes into flower earlier, or you have a plant that's resistant to PM or whatever. And you have that information, and you can use that over and over again. And that's really, really powerful stuff.
Well, it's kind of a brain hack too. I learned a long time ago, or I'd heard it somewhere, that just the way our brain learns things. And one of those things is if you hear it and then you write it down, it's cemented more in your mind than if you just hear it and try to remember it. So that's why I have these little notepads all over the place around my computer where I just write stuff down that I hear that's interesting so that I can try to retain some of it. And if I don't retain it, I can still go back through it every once in a while. And this is right where I smoke too. So when I'm just smoking, why not? You flip through your little notepad and relearn some of the shit you just forgot.
Yeah, so I have the question right here. It was from Chuck a Duck, who's in the Grow Off chat. He said, "What's a good strain for Northern Michigan outdoor? Short flower and mildew resistance would be key attributes, obviously."
Hybrids usually, maybe a little bit sativa leaning, but not much. Maybe a 60-40, maybe preferably a 50-50, especially as you get north of Saginaw. I would say a 50-50. Sativas, Duraband Poison, Northern Lights #7, I believe it is. It could be 5 or 2 really mold resistant strains, but unfortunately, mold resistance usually come with a good sativa, which isn't too great for Northern Michigan. So with that being said, and not being able to get a full sativa out, I would lean towards a hybrid, just over the 50-50, harvesting around week 8, maybe even shorter than that, because it does get cold awful quick up here in northern Michigan. So that's
Yeah,
my
it sure
suggestions
does.
anyway.
And you definitely want strains that are resistant to mildew. So like the one that 2020 Mendocino had said when we talked to them in our interview was Trainwreck. It was really good in their environment because they get a lot of rain and they get a lot of PM, but that plant never gets PM. So that's one that I would tell people to try, is to try to get Trainwreck, because that might work well as well also.
Strawberry cough's pretty good outside as well.
Yeah, and then also from 2020 glue sniffer, they've said in a couple of their, I wish I could remember exactly where they were talking about it, but they said that specifically was PM resistant. So glue sniffer might be one to look at too.
I think it was on this show in like the chat before. Remember when Carlos was in here talking? I think that's when it was.
I
You go
remember
back to
that
the
it was said. I
episodes.
can't remember where it was said, but I know it was said.
Dirty Qwerty in our chat here says Purple Hindu Kush, Critical Mass, and Northern Lights 5 are ones that all work pretty good. I knew that Northern Lights was one. That was really popular guerrilla growing one around here forever.
I grew Grape 8 last summer that I had really good antimicrobial results with. It's a pretty early finisher as well. So I'm going to try that one outdoor this season. It also stays kind of short and squat. Unfortunately, it's not a very good yielder.
Does it?
Sounds
Have
like
you
a
ever
great one to
grown
run
it?
outside, though. You know what I mean? If it's not a
Yeah.
big yielder indoors, run that bitch outside.
I was going to say it might
No,
yield better
I
outdoors.
ran it last summer. Sorry, go ahead. What was that again?
I think you answered the question. I was going to say it might yield better outdoors than indoors, but if you said you just ran it last summer, then you know.
Yeah,
Limonene strains are pretty mold and antifungal resistant. They might be something lemony or piney, slightly piney might do well outside, I would say.
I was smoking a piney strain when I was at the house of Zoo Glass. Shout out to him if he's listening. It was pineapple chunk, I think. And that was really delicious.
Oh, dude, yeah, man. That's an older one. That's a really good one.
Yeah, it had a lot of pine to it. I was really impressed. That's my kind of meds, if you know. Well, Eagle knows. We're in that Pinene Dreams chat with Jack Greenstock. Shout out to Jack. Getting all the shout outs today.
Get them out of the way, right?
Just hunting for that pinene because it's really good for a lot of effects that are good for me, good medicine.
You're gonna love this Dominatrix. That's what I'm smoking on right now.
Yeah.
This is good. It's got a nice pine, lemon pine, but I'd say more pine leaning. But
sounds like my kind of lady, Eagle.
It's good. I messaged him that night
on this.
when I tried the first jar. I messaged him that night. I was like, "Holy shit, dude! That Dominatrix is no joke." Like you were saying, and he and I had been talking about Mr. Tight and a lot of stuff when we were at the Echo City. And so his joke to me before we signed off at like 1:30, he was like, "Bro, you need to try it for a wake and bake." So of course, hey, I got to try it. So I tried that thing. Holy shit, dude! I was stoned for like an hour. Just great with a cup of coffee.
Man Dan says it's dab time, so I'm working on that. But Mr. Maverick in chat says be careful with Blue Dream because it gets PM. And that's interesting because someone had actually said Blue Dream. So does anyone have any experience growing Blue Dream actually?
Everyone, well, not everyone, but a lot of us have quote unquote grown Blue Dream, but have we grown like the Santa Cruz cut or the real one? You know what I mean? So just like in the early days before GG4 did its name change, you know, everybody had it, but who really had it?
Yeah, I grew a cut from a local dispensary back in probably 2014, 2015. I have no idea what cut it was. It was called Blue Dream. I grew it one round. That was it. It was nice smoke. It's
You
pretty
get
heady.
EM though? That's the important thing.
I grew it indoor. My temperatures at the time were in the low 100s because of poor airflow and poor air conditioning.
Low
So, no, I
100s is
didn't.
kind of oxymoronic.
I didn't get powdery mildew, but I
You
got
did
crispy
you?
fried flowers. Yeah, so it was
It
one of my
was dry
first.
that
One of my first
afternoon. I was
runs ever
smoking it by that night.
Narwhal says Blue Dream doesn't do well in the UP.
I was gonna say, I feel like somebody in chat ironically said Blue Dream, maybe, because I think it's kind of known for being a problem magnet.
In kind of a sativa
Touchy.
plant, right?
It's a haze.
So
Sequence. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say Sequence mentioned Zoo Glass, and I'm rolling. Oh, it's kind of floppy looking. But he made me this blunt tip too when we were over there the other day, and it's super fucking cool. So
I
thank
was
you to him
telling
for that.
Skilbo, I was super jealous of that at the meetup the other day. And he's right here to call my bluff, but I was actually telling him, I fucking love that thing. I want one. I need one. So if we can maybe
We
cook
can get
me
that
up with
handled,
one
yeah.
somehow,
This
that'd
blunt
be
tip,
fucking
yeah,
awesome.
it was super cool. He made I got to watch him make it, and I was like, when he was doing it, I was like, I kind of want one of those like long ass like a Cruella de Vil blunt stick.
It's
And
like
he was
a
like,
yeah,
no
it's like
problem,
it's
got you. So like
like
look
an
at this
aquifer.
thing.
Yeah, he made 2 of those for her like right away.
Yeah,
They're
you can
so
smoke joints out of
awesome.
them. It gets you high as fuck
You
because you have
don't
to hit
pinch
it
it
really
off.
hard. Yeah. Well, and I like these things too because so right now, if you're smoking with people, you can do this thing where you put it in between these knuckles, and then cup your hands together and make a little hole right there, and you can hit out of it. So then you don't have to put your mouth on the same shit as other people, but you still get to smoke and get high. And it's as long as you don't fucking rough hand the blunt, you can pass it around and whatever. But with like a glass tip or whatever in the end, you can't really smush it.
Yeah, Eagle rolled a
Completely
joint up that
awesome.
was like the size of that, and that's what he said. He was like, "Man, I got to get one of those things." Yeah,
I'll work on that, Eagle. Got you.
That would be completely awesome. And like Kate was saying, you just don't get it all fingered up. You're not pressing. Even on a regular joint, them glass tips are awesome. You're not pinching that end. It's not getting all wet and shit from people hitting it. It's
You want it to be big
Even-
like hers?
yes. That'd be
Perfect.
fun.
I knew you probably did because the first joint you ever handed me was like an 1/8. So
exactly.
Well, to me, it's just like when you roll joints with tips. They're fucking better. I don't care what everybody wants to say. I just like it better, man. You can smoke all the way down to the tip, and then you don't waste your weed. You don't have, that little bit left in your joint or whatever.
There's a running joke with that with Sequence and I before, usually like he'll open the stream at like 8:30, and then we come on, kick it, do a little pre-show bullshit, right? And I held up this joint and I was like, "Look, dude, I'm bougie this week. I actually have a raw tip in here." So I like rolled one up. He was like, "Dude, you're supposed to have one in there every fucking time, man." So I catch the blues
every time.
Conversation while I'm spitting out little bits of weed because I do not have a tip right now. I'm out of tips out here.
I hate that shit.
Literally spitting it out while we're talking about this.
And worst case, if you were like a germaphobe, you could hand like a alcohol swab in your hand. So every time it came around, you could swab it real quick with that alcohol before you hit it again and pass it around.
The glass tip's cool too because it's reusable, man. So you could just clean it and then reuse it. That's pretty fucking badass.
You can clean them with alcohol and stuff. I really like the idea of them. And he can make it really quick and easy. So I can get that for you, Eagle, no problem. Bagseed in the chat asked if we had any tips for re-veg. And I wanted to tell Bagseed that I would re-veg under 24-hour light. and that's probably the easiest way.
Well, let's
It's
go on to that.
really
Do you
slow
feed them?
if you
Do you feed
don't.
them vegetative newts? Do you give
Yeah.
them nothing? Do you just give them water? I don't know. Let's try to help them out a little bit.
So I do give it just water for a while, because actually you want the flower part of the plant to die off. It does it naturally, but it doesn't need a lot of nutrients because it's not growing at all. The plant's just in like a hormonal problem zone. Where it
And
doesn't
it's
know what
probably
it's
not
doing
drinking either. You know what I mean?
It
So you
really
don't wanna
doesn't.
flood the shit out of it.
Yeah, so you just kind of watch it for a long time, and the plant looks like shit for like 3 months while it does its thing. If actually Matt had his re-veg plant just through its leaf, so he knows that it's finally flipped over, and he said never had a doubt or whatever on his caption was, and it was really cool.
Yeah.
But that's what it looks like, and the plant looks like absolute dog shit, and that's what they do. They look like that too. So
I love not to disagree with you a little bit, but my suggestions, I've re-veg tons and tons of shit, and both ways. If you're gonna trim the plant back and re-veg the plant, I would trim it down to as little as you could. I would leave some nice buds. Make sure and leave some nice fan leaves to it, at least a few per bud site or little branch that you're leaving. I like to throw it back in 24 hours of light. I like to give it a vegetative watering, but light. I'm talking really light because, like they said, it
250
barely
ppm.
drinks. I'm talking about like a cup or two, just enough that you know it's drinking. And as you see them bud sites that are coming up, you'll see those little sugar leaves sprout
the
out
single
in the
leaves.
branches. Yep. And as you see them, now you start hitting it with a little bit more water, all vegetative, high veg water is what I would give it. And they'll come back. Mine usually come back within a month. Now, even at that, if you're tight for space, and I'm a fucking believer in this, chopping off buds, maybe that big, a bud with a few water leaves on it or shade leaves on it, and throw that in the cloner. You would be surprised how fast that branch will come back. That bud will come back quicker than shit. That thing will grow roots and throw them sugar leaves will start popping out much faster. You'll have a vegetative plant off that bud within a month. I was talking growing roots, 2 weeks of veg, already starting to sprout out, and you're not holding up a mother pot that's 10 gallons or whatever you're trying to re-veg in. You're back into a solo cup and throwing that aside and waiting for clones. At that point, you let that bud sprout out into a nice little bush, and then you take cuttings off of that. Once you get the leaves are back out to the 7 little fingers, take cuttings off that, get rid of that bud, and go from there.
Yeah, that's what I prefer to do, is to re-veg a clone too. But I've never tried to re-veg like a fully grown out plant like you explained in your first example. But you're right in both examples. The key is growing roots. As soon as you start growing roots, you're going to get vegetative growth again. So that's what you want to focus on.
This dominatrix got me all good, high and focused tonight.
All right, I wanted to share this article. This article talks about how legalizing marijuana increased property values, and basically everywhere that we've legalized marijuana. I hate that it says marijuana, but here we are. So if you look, this chart shows the housing price per square foot, and you can see recreational date for Colorado and Washington was in 2012, and their housing value went dramatically higher.
I mean, it just stands to reason.
About $100 per square foot, their housing value went up. I thought that was really, really cool.
Think how many people tried to move there, not just to get in as like trimmigrants, but to actually go there because like they needed medicine or they wanted to, you know what I mean? Check it out for their kids. Shit.
Yeah, a lot of medical refugees had to move out that way.
You know what they say, guys? There goes the neighborhood.
They say a lot of things.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, where you legalize that, you create a whole new industry. You're creating jobs. So you're creating higher tax dollars. you create an interest where people want to move there.
You're creating normalcy. You're basically destigmatizing it.
Sequence, will you send me that?
Yeah, I'll send you that. DB420 in the chat asks a question that Red could answer. I don't know if Red, if you're willing to answer. They ask if anyone's tried tribus microbes. That's what Red uses out at his farm.
I do use it. Yeah, I use it like every other week or so in flour. Just because I'm kind of messing around with ratios and things like that. I haven't really done any consistent runs. Like I would like to use it maybe once a week. I haven't seen negative results. Let's say that. I've definitely seen positive results. I've seen, it's hard to say. I've been using it on and off kind of for like a couple of years, and also going through other issues for the last couple of years. So now that I'm actually using it more frequently, let's say on the next run in like maybe another 60 days, I could probably give you a better response because I'm going to start using it like weekly. But as for right now, I kind of use it like every other week. But okay, man, I like it. It's got a ton of different kinds of beneficials. I could probably grab a bottle right now and list off a couple of them if I can pronounce it. But
They're mostly
I think it
bacillus.
has.
They use a lot of bacillus.
Yeah. Here, I'll go grab it real quick.
We have some people in the chat that use tribus as well. D says thank you. Thank you, Red. I will tell you as you're gone, so you don't know that I appreciate you. That's good stuff.
It pays to re-listen sometimes.
Oh, he does have earbuds then, so maybe he
looking
can't.
at you're looking
Red,
at three
he's
different types of
oblivious.
bacillus. You're looking at subtilis, permilis, and this huge long one, amlocapeginus, that I can't pronounce.
You gotta hold your tongue and say it, Red.
Boogity.
For the man scrambled backwards, it is 10 billion CFUs per milliliter. So that's kind of a lot.
It's like an expensive bottle. How's that sound?
It is a nice. I mean, I know that it's a nice
I'll tell you
product.
what, I've had this bottle lingering around. It's been lingering around for about a year, and smells nowhere near as funky. No more funkier than I bought it. So, got a real good shelf life. Sits at probably 65 degrees all year round, out of sunlight. Good results though, man. Now as far as like early veg and stuff like that, I don't really use it. I just use my basic mix, and I kind of mess around with a little bit of recharge and stuff like that. I just don't have it at my propagation facility, or else I would use it there. I just have it out here. So I like to late veg with it, and then early flower into late flower. They say you can flush with it just fine. I just don't flush with it. I use a little bit of magnesium sulfate when I flush. That's about it. We'll see. Like I said, I'm going to run this for this next round in flour and see how it goes.
And magnesium sulfate is a fancy term for Epsom salt, right?
Epsom salts, yeah. Yeah, not much. Kind of like what tap water would be. Maybe like 100 and 150 ppm when I'm flushing. Not to go down.
I would say, Red, you're getting close to what they would normally say is the expiration date. Like Shredder says in the chat, they say you should use the microbe products within 12 to 18 months, just like the spores and other stuff. So
about 18 months.
Yeah.
Bottle. Yeah. So yep. I got to try to use it up this round.
Yeah, I think their big selling point, not to interrupt, is that they're a similar product to Mammoth but cheaper.
Yeah,
No.
I heard this, and this might just be bro science, but I heard that these strains that I listed off were a little bit more catered towards synthetics. So that's what leaned me towards this in the first place. Mammoth, I'm sure, has some strains that are suited just as well, but I'm not 100%. I've actually never used Mammoth. I've only used this, so I can't really compare.
What's the stuff that they gave us at Great Lakes, Eagle, or not Spartan? What did we get from them? The little thing. Is it Organitech? Is that what that was called? That little bottle?
Yep, it's called Organitech, and it's just two things. It's Bacillus subtilis, and I don't recall what the other thing was, but I wasn't familiar with it. I should look it up.
Yeah.
But
what
I
other
mean,
products could we be using out there right now if we wanted to mess around with stuff? We could use Orca, or we could use
oh yeah, there's
Great White.
so many micro products out there right now. I mean, you could sit here forever. It seems like, and name them all off. There's a billion of them, but like we already said, Recharge. So Orca, then they have Great White. You have the extreme gardening stuff, Mycos and
Bezos.
Well, rather than listing them all off, does anyone know like the science between the endo and ectobacteria or whatever the hell, so people can be educated on what they should look for instead of what product necessarily?
Too high. I almost wanted to say it had to do something with the root hairs, but I don't want to talk out of school.
It's the only information I've ever overheard, really, but I know that one is way better than the other when you're looking at these products.
I think honestly, when it comes to microbes, you're better off getting the most diverse that you can. So
I agree. Yeah.
a lot of these products will have some kind of a guaranteed analysis on them and tell you at least what to expect and what's in it. So if you're looking at 2 products and you want to maybe pick up a third, just make sure that it's got something in it that the other 2 don't.
Yep.
You're not going to do a lot of damage but I mean, some people get crazy and want to put way more than you need to also. It's like for microbes, for me, I think I'm putting a lot on, and I'm putting them on only once a week. Some people are watering in microbes every single day. I don't think that's really needed.
Dollar bill, y'all.
So Dirty says endo is for cannabis and is used in myco. Ecto is for like trees and stuff, not useful for cannabis at all. You look at the packaging, look for endo bacteria or whatever.
I used
That's
Photosynthesis
also
Plus for a long time, along with Mammoth, and I felt like those 2 worked really, really well together.
That mindset is also, I think, a little flawed too, because even if it hasn't been proven to make a beneficial relationship with a cannabis plant, doesn't mean it won't have a beneficial effect to the soil itself, which
I think so, but
which
like
secondarily will help the plant. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I
especially
agree. And if you're like having a diverse base, you can do that. But if you're trying to be as frugal as possible, I think you want to know what is the most bang for your buck, I guess.
I was just going to say, I think the thing that you can hurt the most with microbes is like your pocketbook. So you want to be careful with what you're spending it on. Like I'm constantly asking people, how hard would it be to replicate Mammoth? You know what I mean? Anytime somebody seems like kind of smart, like the dude at the grocery store that I go to is in like soil sciences at MSU. I'm always like, make me Mammoth, because I hate spending money on microbes, but I don't think you can hurt them by overdoing it. But I think people definitely use them way more than necessary.
yeah,
I think there's like a plateau, right? You have enough, and then more doesn't get you anywhere. But you can have too little, of course. Sorry, go ahead, Spartan.
I was gonna say you could take it in any direction you want to. You can be, if you have a passion to, like, you want to sacrifice and actually put time into something rather than go to the store and buy something product off the shelf. You can still harvest microbes in nature. You can brew compost teas. You can make compost. You can make vermicompost. You can make teas from that vermicompost and brew up your big, huge supply of microbes and water that in. So there are answers that aren't super expensive as far as microbes go too, but then you're also got to put some kind of price on the time that it's going to take you to do these things. So there's that too. So there's an answer that's, cheaper, but you got to invest a lot of time at the same time.
Yeah, and growers are really good at not calculating what the time they put into things.
I would say Michaels and mycelium to pamper my roots if you're running just like artificial, because them really will branch out, give you nice fingers in each one of your roots and help them push out. Because in a artificial system, you don't need much to break down. They're going to just take them up, and you just want super healthy roots. Any other type of microbes and fungos are pretty much breaking down organic in the soil, which at that point, if you're running any type of organics, that's when I would start worrying about putting enzymes shit, break down the organic shit.
What are we looking at here, Red?
So we can talk over him. I don't know if he can necessarily talk or if he can hear us at the moment.
I figured with his earbuds he did, but you know.
Me myself, I run a combination of both. So I try to I water in a root every week, and occasionally some recharge. And I water in fish food. The Alaska fish food fertilizer. I put 50 mils in per 20 gallons. I mix 20 gallons at a time. And so I do introduce a little bit of organic shit, a little bit of molasses. So I do try to entertain my root zone outside of just the roots themselves. I'm worried about that shit getting broke down. So I guess I run a bit of a hybrid system myself. It isn't either or.
But with these 7 jars in front of me, I can definitely attest to the fact that it's dank, brother. So you're doing something right.
Eagle's been doing it for a long time,
A
so
very long time.
you'd hope that he's learned something by now. I've smoked his stuff, and it's some good shit.
So I wanted to address
I'd like-
a question in chat real quick, if I can. Mike Angel asked, you know, what's the best micro food, or maybe how do we feed them? And really, I mean, the common answer is going to be brown sugar. That's what most people use. Well, they use a brown sugar in like teas if you want to brew and make more microbes. That's a good food source. But they really can break down a lot of the things that you would look at like a top dress on a bed. So like, you know, barley or you can think all of these inputs. There's so many. I mean, you know, alfalfa, all those things can be a food source for a certain type of microbe depending on where they're at. So as far as what do we, you don't have to worry about feeding the microbes. They're in your soil, breaking down your soil so that the plant can feed off of that. So if you think of your soil almost like the stomach of yourself, you know what I mean? You're not really concerned about feeding the microbes. The microbes are actually going to eat what's in there. So you just dump the food in and the microbes will just make that into a plant available thing. So most people think they're feeding their plant. They're not. They're really feeding the microbes every time. So whatever you're feeding your plant, that's what you're feeding your microbes.
Yeah, that's all a really good point, and it's also relevant to say that if you're just adding microbes all the time, if you're one of those people that's watering with microbes every day, you don't really got a concern about feeding them that often because they could just die all the time and you'd be just fine.
So that reminds me of an interesting thing I learned about endophyte microbes. So they create this beneficial relationship with plants. And for example, when you see these plants that are growing on looks like straight rock, you're like, how do they get any kind of fucking nutrient? How are they even surviving? They're not even, or these trees that are hanging off the side of these cliffs and shit. It doesn't look like they've got any access to much soil at all. And it's these bacteria that are sitting there and basically bringing them their nutrients and exchanging it with the plant without the plant actually having to have a soil system around it. I thought that stuff was just insane.
Red killing it over there. Jeez.
Bushy ladies.
I feel so sorry for him. All he does is trim all the time.
Boo hoo. First world problems.
All he does is fucking trim.
Yo, Red, I know this trim crew. They're called Lovely Ladies Who Trim. They'll get that shit trimmed in no time. I'm just saying. It might be
Good looking spot, though.
Show off, my ladies.
they're pricey, but I will tell you what, they're fast. They get that stuff done.
Yeah, I like when they put up ads for workers and they're like serious workers only and stuff. You know that they filter through a bunch of people that just want to get into the industry and kind of think that you can be lazy about it, or they're used to trimming with their buddies at the table or whatever. And they're about getting it done, that's for sure. I was really impressed talking to them.
They're super awesome to hang out with, and a lot of times, like the owner, Brittany, one of the ones that you were sitting.
You interviewed her.
Yeah, interviewed.
She's super
yeah.
nice.
She's sitting right there trimming with him. It's not like she's like some overbearing, she's doing it. She's not asking you anything she wouldn't do.
They have a really good attitude too. Like they're really positive, upbeat, you know what I mean, energy people. So
yeah, she's super, super cool. And I was surprised what they said their work schedules. It's like they're only required to work 2 days a month. They can work more if they want to, but you pick your own schedule. They just put up like, here's all our bids for the month. You sign up for which one you're willing to work. I was like, wow, that's just awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Beautiful leaves, Red. It's like he's been over there fee-fi-fo thumbing through there, you know what I mean? Like busting through the canopy and stuff.
I got a feeling that Red's been talking the whole time and he doesn't know that we can.
That's a good point. Yeah, he
That's
probably
such a
has.
Red Setter thing.
He's
We
like
love you,
pointing at
buddy.
stuff and like gesturing, and I'm sure he is talking his name.
The way he just tapped on the
Pantomime
camera
Red.
made me definitely think that he is saying shit and thinks we can hear him. Bless his heart.
Bless his heart, she says. Did you guys notice that his room was like 70 degrees and 65% humidity? That's some awesome veg.
Do you notice how
environment.
clean the floors are in there? Everybody furiously looks at his floors when they get a little glimpse of it.
He's doing a good job, yeah. Well, you definitely have to when you know you're on camera all the time.
Oh shit.
Everything's got to be spotless.
Yeah, I think the lights are out. I don't think the lights are even on. That might be why it's 70 degrees. That might explain
He's running them.
the lights on his
Could be the green light, yeah.
Got to keep it cool when you're running that high pressure shot.
I just want to say shout out to Easy Swap. They just showed up in the chat, and I have to say I've been so impressed by the difference in everybody's grow off plants in the Easy Swaps. I genuinely did not think that it would make a difference. Sorry, I'm a skeptic, but the difference in size between the seedlings in the Easy Swaps and solo cups is pretty fucking cool. So good on you, bud. That's awesome.
I'd also like to say I've been using mine for over a year and I don't notice any breakdown or anything like that, even if the roots grow through them or anything. They're still just as good as they were. So he knows what's up. I'm just bummed I got to get more of the big ones.
There's the picture, the
There we
one
go.
that we saw
If you're
today.
interested, I'll check in and
Like-
show you guys the LED side of things.
Yeah, definitely. Check out the difference between all these plants that were all popped on the same day. These are from Dro Grows on Instagram. Some of the grow off plants. So even 4 days ago, huge difference between these plants.
They're all
Very-
pretty, they were all pretty wide leaf too. Look at that. That's some looking.
They said 8 to 9 weeks, so we can look forward to that, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely looking that way.
All right, guys. I'm gonna burn one more with you guys, and then unfortunately, I'm gonna have to get back to work. But if anybody has any questions about maybe anything that
Yeah, what were we looking
with
at
the
in there?
video was running well, East Wing was you're looking at the plants that are in later flower. West Wing is basically what I'm working on. Is everything on basically day 0. I just moved them out of that veg room. The lights are only on in that bedroom because I'm gonna clean it up. And then shut down those lights for the evening until I bring some more plants out. What I do is the final veg in that room. Eventually that's going to be propagation and the whole 9. But for right now, it's just a final veg. And then it goes into one or the other of these bloom rooms that you see right here.
Just me off some strains that
one-
we were looking at there, Red.
Yeah, there were some chunky girls in there, man.
Late flower. All right, so in late flower, walking right in that doorway, you're looking at the only candied grapes in the room, non-keeper. I do have a keeper in the works, so this one I just had to fill some space. I had an old mom laying around, so I wanted to get rid of it. Behind that, in that row that was in the green stakes, is all rainbow driver, all the way in the back. So a little bit bigger nugs. They looked a little more dense, a little further along. That was all rainbow driver. Now in the Scrognet up front towards the door that I walked in at, that was all the Death Star. It doesn't look as far along, and that's just because that one's going to be like a 70, maybe 75 day run. So I'm going to pull everything else first, and I'll do the Death Star last. But yeah, so that front, bigger, thicker, more stacked, more hairy flowers, that was definitely the Death Star. And then walking around the side towards the back of that row in the back of the Scrognet, kind of underneath the CO2 burner, is all grape glee, grape pie, and sunset sherbet. So it just smells like cherry bubble gum or grape bubble gum or something, man. It just has such a sweet, fruity smell. It's really nice. And the Death Star, of course, is like piney and just smells like skunky weed. It's really good. And then the same kind of a little bit on like the rubbery side with the candy grapes, but then the Rainbow Driver is like a vanilla skunk rubber, just fresh rubber type smell. It's really incredible. I haven't smelled anything like it, so I'm really excited to share the Rainbow Driver, that entire room with you guys. Honestly, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
All the strains sound amazing, and your grow as always looks clean as hell.
Yeah, for
What is
sure.
Eagles here actually sharing all of his pictures? All of his plants are nice and clean.
Eagle plants are looking amazing right there.
Beasting out in
Are
those
those
pots.
flowering under? Are those flowering under T5s?
Yeah, it's a sweet
Those
LED T5 setup he's got.
Totally sweet. Yeah, I really like what he's got going on over there too.
I love the tape on the tent. Been there, done that.
War wounds.
Yup.
Girls under the HL or the MJ12 there.
MJ12.
Looks like the buds
Look
in the
at that,
bottom are
like-
pretty beefy.
This is
Strip
low-
That
style
light
light.
looks like it's being abducted by UFOs. The one before this one. Yeah, that one.
It's
right
cool
there.
because Eagle has repped so many companies. He's got like a side-by-side of every different LED light you can think of.
Oh,
So
trust me,
cool.
we talked
Looks like
about
a
it too.
awesome.
When we were at Vehicle City, he was like, bro, I thought about it when I was halfway here. I was like, I have so much fucking old LED shit that I could have just dropped on you, man. So we had talked about we need to do another meetup there, and we thought it would be cool to be able to get some of the other people, because it's like the same distance for me as it is for him.
That whiteboard is a great idea. Sorry to interrupt you, but
No, that's what I do too. Same thing. I just write my dates on there.
I write mine right on the
Yeah,
wall.
But it's like
That's
marking
what I
your
was gonna
kid's
say.
height.
I'm a cheap ass. I was gonna get a piece of plexiglass and put it on my door or my wall and use that.
I just write right on my Panda film because I know that I can clean it right off. It's no problem.
Ooh, look at that to the right. What was that? Swing back cameraman.
That's beautiful, loser.
One right there, man. Dude, I want that cut. If that's what's in this jar, because I don't have, my jar doesn't have a number on it. So I don't know which one this is, but it's beautiful meds, man.
I'm running time of lapse and all these.
That's dope.
Pretty cool. It's going to be, all of them were from veg to now.
And it just looks so perky and happy.
Yeah, that plant was totally stacked. Looked really nice.
Yeah, man, that's gonna fill in chunky.
Hate to be a downer, but I want to get this out there anyway. I just got a text message from Michigan Matt, and he said that bars and restaurants might be forced to close tomorrow. Ohio and Illinois already have done that. You might want to pack lunches because we usually go out to lunch. So anyone goes to work, pack a lunch.
As someone who works in the restaurant industry, we talked about it last week. We weren't sure whether they were going to be open or not. There's also been talk about possibly it being takeout only. So I don't know if that's going to go through or what. So they don't know yet. We'll find out this week for sure.
Think about what you boys just said, and I don't mean to be a Nancy warrior here, but watch what I said earlier. Things are going to get worse. Now, our governor has already put a limit out 250 people or more. Now think about that. Your Walmart or any Myers at any one time, how many cars do you see when you pull into that thing? I would say you're dangerously close to some type of shutdown right there. So I really see you picking up your shit, ordering it online, and them just shoving you a cart through a door not too long. And I
A lot of
hate to
stores
say
already
that,
doing
but
that.
man,
That
There's a
doesn't
lot of stores that already have that service, and I bet they're promoting that like hell right now.
that doesn't make me sad. That sounds fucking convenient as hell.
Time to
I'm
focus
down.
on the garden.
But I want to think about the people that are in the service industry and the people in the event industry and everybody that is, down on their job stuff right now. That's horrible for them. Skilbo, I know that you're in there, and some other people on the panel. So we really appreciate you guys. So if you need any help, make sure you think about it, saying something.
Well, that's the thing. So many people have gotten used to not having to learn to even cook. Situations like this
Yeah.
really highlight some some flaws in people's lifestyles. So
That's
maybe
highlighted when you go to the store and like all of the frozen food is gone, but all the fresh fruit is still there. You know that nobody knows how to cook.
Man, they keep us in business, that's for sure. They're all fucking critics, though. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't cook your way out of breakfast, let alone come in here talking shit.
Isn't that funny, man? I love that.
It's like being a grower. You know what I mean? Like the dude smoking. It's like, well, you know what I would have done? No, I don't. Why don't you show me what you would have done? Then we can have another discussion and another fucking burn down sesh.
So we had a question. While Red is still here, I wanted to ask this one from Haas on Discord. On our Discord channel, we have a section where you can ask the panel questions. So I'll throw a link to the Discord in here after I say this here. Haas on Discord said, I use the Dynagrow line in cocoa, which I assume is a synthetic line. He says, from what I've heard, I pH to 5.8 to 6.2 in veg, and then 6.2 to 6.5 in flower. Is this correct? So I wanted to say that while Red is here, who runs synthetics, and Spartan, I'm sure, knows the answer to this, and Eagle as well. In veg, I run about 5.8 to 6.0, and in flower, right about the same, but I range a little bit higher, so like maybe 6.1 or so. What pH range do you guys use in your synthetic grow operations?
I'll go first. Let's see. I do like 5.0 to 6.0 in veg and 6.2 to 6.4 in flower, but usually it's around 6.2.
You say
Sometimes I'll drift up.
5.0 to 6.0?
Sorry. No, 5.8. I'm sorry. I was mumbling. And I might have said 0.0. Yes, but it was 5.8 to 6.0. 6.0, sorry. And then 6.2 to 6.4 for flower. Yeah,
When Red said he
definitely
was,
day one, like today it's 6.2 when I go in there.
when you said you were mumbling, I just had this like high on version of you as a mumble rapper, bro. It was kind of funny. You need some face tats.
So we tend to the best way I'll describe it is the input is adjusted by the last output. So when we measure our runoff, we're measuring pH and we're measuring EC. Those numbers give us information on what we want to adjust our next feed for. But I will just say, generally speaking, we're around 6.0 pH throughout. So
that makes sense. I didn't know that you guys did that with pH and ppm. I thought that was just a ppm thing.
We control. I mean, we record every single day. Or every single feeding, I should say. We record, what room we fed. We record what went in pH and EC, and then same thing on. Well, it's actually ppm, and then the same thing on the runoff. We take the same readings.
for me and my setup, I let it somewhere 6.5, anywhere in there. I'm happy with.
Did he say he was grown in cocoa, right? On the question or not? Okay.
Yeah, cocoa.
I'll make sure.
That's why I assumed synthetic was because it was cocoa.
I just want to say,
I actually don't check them. You go,
Red.
Eagle. Go for it, man.
Red, please, brother.
Okay, I was just saying that I don't check my runoff on my my pH on my runoff. But what I will do is when I do check my EC runoff, if my EC runoff is really, really high, then what I'll do is I'll typically raise my pH up into that 6.4 range because I'll know, or if it's really dry also, I'll typically raise, those are the times that I'll raise my pH on the input side. Go ahead, Eagle.
I just wanted to say, tonight's been a great night on my end. Everything's kind of popped. I never get to watch chat and shit, and I never realized how many cool people are hanging out in the chat while we talk. And I just wanted to, say, hey, I can't sit here and type the whole time, but I just wanted to say,
The show's
hey,
a lot more
to
fun
everybody
now,
watching, man.
Did I just hear that you want to give Frontier a shout out? Is that what you just finally said after all these months, man?
No.
The show's a lot more fun when you're not just hanging out with us. You're hanging out with the viewers too, because they're what really makes it cool. We're just kind of always the same.
Vamping up here, man. That's all.
Well,
We have another
unfortunately,
good question. Go ahead, Eagle.
Watching it on the phone, so I'm kind of like watching with one eye, watching you guys, and kind of finger typing, so.
Welcome to the Bro Show Live, Eagle.
Get the thumbs up. So we did have another cool question from Narwhal Up 82 on Instagram. He asked this in the Grow Off chat too, I think. He said, what types of companion plants should I use for IPM? And I thought that was a really interesting question as we're going into the outdoor season. While people are planning on planting their vegetables, maybe they can plant some companion plants. So what do you guys use as companion plants for IPM, either indoors or outdoors? I think there's a couple ways you could consider this, right? You could pick IP or plants that like really attract pests so they don't get on your plants, or maybe one and plant those away or whatever. And then you can plant plants close to your plants that maybe repel pests. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I would take it a third way and say plant a plant that can help support a predator, or attract predators. So like, for example, there's a pepper that's grown more for like flowering. It's a really flowering.
Yeah, ornamental pepper.
Yeah, it's called the what's it called now? Something ember, explosive ember pepper. And they happen to find out in the study that this is the pepper they used in the study. I can't think of the first name, the Swarovski. It starts with an A, amber or something, Swarovski. That's a predator mite that is really good for going after other mites, and I think even thrips. Hold on, I got a cheat sheet here. Broad mites, thrips, whiteflies, spider mites, and some other mite I've never heard of. A tarsinamide mite.
This is my exact plan for greenhouse growing, by the way.
Right. Well, in the chat, you also have the Dirty Qwerty says lemon ball bugs dislike lemon most. Robert Hazelton said dill, and Dankman Dan said rosemary thyme. Robert Hazelton came back with lavender. You guys got some good stuff on there, man.
I was just gonna say, like, pretty much all of those in my no-till garden. I have the perennials are the lavender. I think the rosemary might come back this year. I'll have to see. The dill is probably going to come back just from how much seed I let it set last year.
Think about it. With rosemary, you use it as like a foliar spray. You know what I mean? That's like one of your number one things that you use in that.
Excellent.
Geraniums, geranol. That's another big one that they use too.
Is a big part of
Clover puts back into the nitrogen, back into the
that's
soil.
the nitrogen. Replenishes it, pulls it out of the atmosphere.
Thyme oil is a big ingredient in that mammoth IPM.
Thyme, yeah.
Yeah, grow some thyme, especially the creeping thyme, which is nice because you can grow that down below your plants. It doesn't even get like a foot tall. In most
Just
cases.
give it a haircut if it gets carried away anyway. Anything that becomes like a cover crop.
And it'll be a great microbe food, worm food. Another one is like any kind of salvia or a sage.
Salvia.
Well, there's a few different. Yeah, I mean, a couple of different kinds, and also I believe
Red's
it's like
getting those
lavender
strange
family.
packages from Amsterdam.
Moonflowers and stuff. The dill's great, man. It'll attract predatory wasps and all kinds of stuff into your garden, which, you know, as long as you don't have an allergy to bee stings and things like that, you're not out there pissing them off. I don't mind some hornets and wasps as long as they're not overwintering anywhere in my ground or anything.
There's a lot of good info, like Tara said in the chat. I appreciate you guys dropping all that IPM info for the viewers.
I was gonna
Dad
say the biggest
coughing like
pest,
crazy.
or one of the biggest pests I have in my garden is my fucking cats. So I've been thinking about putting some lavender plants around my indoor because they supposedly don't like the smell of them. Maybe that'll keep them out a little bit more.
We'll say some pests to note that you might not think about outdoors, or some things to think about are trees above your plants, because you're going to get a lot of like caterpillars, leaf eating shit that's going to fall on your plants, chew your stuff up. And then ants, because ants will carry aphids onto your plants and stuff like that. So if you have ant hills near your garden, so you want to take care of those things. You might not consider that. Those are big sources of plant problems.
Yeah, and even worse, like carpenter ants, and then they'll burrow into your plant. That's the worst.
The caterpillars will burrow into your buds, and that'll cause bud rot. So you really got to watch out for plants that overhang your plants. That's a huge problem.
Shout out Abolish Farm. Those deer. Who's got deer problems?
Oh yeah, I guess we could talk about that if we're going to talk about outdoor in general. Deer, rabbits.
Well,
All
before
of those
you
sorts of
go
things.
anywhere off of that, let's talk about something like blood meal. Some of these organic amendments that you use, you have to be careful because they can attract animals that can fuck your garden up too.
Usually deer shouldn't be an issue for us anymore because we're required to have fencing and all that crap around it now. So that's, might as well follow the rules because it's going to help you out anyway. You know what I mean? Because it's going to keep the damn deer away. I mean, make sure there's a, you know, we usually, when I do it outdoor, I get deer fencing, which is just like this plastic fencing that comes in a roll. And I use that to make my top. I just roll it out for the top. Because if you're completely enclosed, then you don't have to worry about, I mean, deer can jump pretty damn high. I don't know, some people don't believe it, but I've seen deer jump super high, like no problem. So I don't take chances. I completely, and it keeps birds out, all kinds of good stuff. So deer fencing is fairly cheap, and you reuse it 100 times, just zip tie it over the top.
McMahon Dan says he's using a Harbor Freight greenhouse this year. I'm wondering how big and how expensive that is.
Not very and not much.
Like 10 by 12 for $629.
Okay, I stand corrected.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty big.
So
I tried one of those little
man,
like
I don't know if
plastic
I'd-
type things. Go ahead, man.
tons and tons of
Okay.
deer and everything up here for me. I would get birthday for myself, try to grow outdoors.
Sorry guys, I killed myself with a dab there.
I know.
So we already talked about the grow off. Something else we could talk about really quick, I guess. Well, we have a dead spot in the show is the merch page, mbgs.live. If you want to get shirts and stuff, we got new merch up there that's really cool. And then the Patreon, if you want to support the show. I think we have 4 patrons now, so that's super cool. Patreon.com/mbgs. We have several different levels there. Some of them get you into a Patreon specific section of the Discord where we do some cool stuff like talk about where we can meet up and things like that. I don't know, just neat conversations going on in there all the time. So Wanted to thank everybody for supporting the show and all of that type of thing. The Discord's really, really cool in all sorts of ways, so get involved there. I'll put that in chat again.
Abolish, shout out to Abolish Farms. Get well, buddy. He said, what about the style that everybody uses outdoors? You know, any supplemental feedings or all organic, or anybody's opinions? Organic for me outdoors. Pretty much just water outdoor. I let it kind of do its own thing.
Yeah, outdoor organic, water only. Sometimes I'll throw a tea down, but usually I just top dress with warm castings, and I'll chop and drop grass clippings and whatever weeds I have laying around. I'll just chop them and drop them. Lasagna technique, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, if you have the advantage of owning the land, you could take the whole year to build your soil and then just throw your clone in and water the whole season and be good in a perfect world.
Have any of you tried growing in a hay bale or a hay bale? Yeah. I've seen some pretty big plants come out that way, but I've never done it myself.
Interesting. That's an idea I haven't seen before.
Yeah, they started composting by pissing on it, and then it gets really hot. Once it finally cools down, that's when you plant in it. Yeah, I've seen it done. I haven't done it myself.
I have seen hay bale, like permaculture beds and stuff like that, like just browsing around sustainable living ideas and things. I've seen some hay bale, and that's an interesting thing. I wonder if there's an incredibly high amount of fungal activity going on inside of the hay or straw.
Well, moisture, I mean, think of the moisture it holds. That's the biggest advantage. And plus, after it composts, whatever composted, I mean, that's just automatically plant available nutrient, just ready. And probably just full of microbiology from the composting process.
Well, the guy I'd seen it from, he got it from a guy that was growing hops like that. And he kind of took the idea and started growing wheat in it and stuff. They're very similar. So, man, they were huge. They were huge plants. Like I said, I've never done it myself, but if I were outside, I would think you'd have to water all the time.
Yeah, I would say it's not a new thing. It's actually a legitimate gardening technique. You can Google like hay bale gardening, and people will do their whole garden that way. Set them up. It's like making raised beds basically, but using straw bales. But the reason that I guess for the composting part of it, that's what makes sure all the seeds and everything get to a hot enough temperature where you're not gonna sprout a bunch of weeds.
All right, we had an awesome question from Overgrow Solutions. Abolish note when we are here in the show because you're going to clip this one up.
Oh,
this.
Nice! I like the setup to this.
He says, "This is a question for everyone on the panel. If you were a strain, what strain would you be? What characteristics would you have as a plant? What deficiencies do you have in your environment? Do you stretch? Are you getting enough nutrients? Do you have pests? What's it like to partake in you? Are you an indica or sativa? What's your terpene profile? Stretch the metaphor. It could be really fun."
Oh, dude. If anybody else
I thought it was really, really interesting. So I'd like to go around the panel and do this.
I got this. I am AK, man. So I try to always be the same kind of a hybrid man, sort of in between pinene, a little bit of clarity, hopefully, a little bit of wisdom. Smoke me, you be pushed back. It's good times. I don't stretch too much. I'm more of a, I guess I'm more of a shower than a grower at that point. I don't know which way to take that. But no, man, that's good shit. So yeah, I'm one of those people that when I smoke, I like to unwind and be relaxed. So that's my strength.
What's your terpene profile? What do you taste like?
Anger. I don't know. Pine.
I can dig it. Red, what do you think? I know you want to get down on this fucking question.
Yeah, dude.
It better have something to do with fucking Alien OG.
No, man, it's like a little short, squat, like purple. I'm not that little. I'm not, but I am kind of short. I am kind of squat. I'm kind of knock-kneed, So I'm like grape ape, I think. I got a little bit of stretch to me, and I might have a little bit of jump, but I'm not that potent of a person. I like to sit back and relax for the most part. And let's see here. If I was like a flavor, yeah, I think I'd be like kind of grape in the profile, maybe a little punchy, a little edgy. And I had another one, but I don't know. I kind of lost it. So
Nice. I think your strain would also go a little bit long if I were to characterize it.
It's a
It'd be like
12-week strain.
like a haze.
Oh, dude, it's totally like yeah. It's a 12-week strain. Yep, you're gonna take a little while to grow it out. Oh yeah, and as far as like pest control, I
Just when
believe
you
in
thought it was
diversity,
done.
so not a lot of pests. There's that 12-week right there.
Red and I do the late sesh on Mondays. Make sure you check us out this week. We got another episode. And we get this new theme that we've figured out about the show is somewhere in the conversation we're going to go off the fucking rails with Red. It's like the topic of the show. And it's like, baby, come back. And he knows his line next.
You can blame it all on me.
You guys are great. You'll figure it out. You're doing awesome.
Give it a hell. You're enthusiastic, if nothing else.
So,
Monday night at 11 p.m.
Spartan, have you thought about this? If you were a strain, what strain would you be?
I think it would
If
say Crazy Train. And I think as far as flavors, I think I'd get like a fruity fuel. I would require lots of nutrients because, high energy plant puts out quite a bit. And so I'd be jockey with fat ass bus. Yeah. That's my description.
I see you more as Hitman OG.
Mr. Sequent or Spartan, what about you? Okay.
Yeah, so I was asking Spartan, which one, what strain would you be?
I'm gonna have to say I'd be some kind of a haze strain, man, because if I was a strain, I'd want to be one of those ones that would be uplifting, making people happy, and like the terp profile, I would be like that woodsy, sandalwood, spicy kind of smell and flavor that you can kind of get also kind of from the hazes, and that's kind of why I went with that strain. Yeah, I guess they're tall and they're lanky, and that's kind of me too, man. So I'd have to say probably some kind of a haze.
Wizard's potion.
Yep, but it'd be a strong motherfucking haze.
I think that I would probably be a haze too, because I would be on the chill side and creative, as well as and then the terp
Silver
profile,
haze.
kind of
Silver.
like a cat piss maybe, or a roadkill skunk, something really bad, abusive to the nose. I think all that stuff explains me
Offensive.
very good. Yeah, offensive.
Grapefruit haze.
Great in small doses. Hey, have you thought about this one? If you were a strain, what strain would you be?
Train wreck, obviously. No, for real though. I was like, that's like a funny response because I am kind of a train wreck. But then I was like looking up the attributes or whatever, and it's like calming and uplifting. And I think that those are things that I do. So I think it suits me pretty well. Spicy, that fits.
Spicy mayo.
I wanted to thank Overgrow Solutions for the question because it was fucking hilarious. We got some good answers out of the panel on that one.
What questions were you asking way back at the beginning of the show that you said you had about rec? What questions did you say you wanted to ask me?
Shit, I don't remember. Oh, I don't know if it was going to be something relation to if you guys were immediately going to have the different testing. Are you guys going just to rec, or are you going to do both?
So that's the thing is we're approved for medical still, and until that expires after the 1 year mark, we're also medical. So we have to actually keep everything separate from each other. Like they can't touch. So we obviously have to, if we have a split room, we'd have to keep them on separate tables, things like that.
Now, is there a THC cap on those?
No.
That you guys you can grow the same thing. You can just put it in bin A as rec and bin B is medical because it's already a medical strain. Okay, I wasn't sure.
And what I mean, it's not 100% in stone right now, but it's looking pretty likely that we're just going to let them I mean, if it's, we have to get some more information, but it's looking like that we'll probably just let the med expire and just stay rec because there's no reason to hold both licenses.
Yeah,
But,
unless you guys are building a whole nother building or something.
well, if we did, then it had to see the licenses are tied to locations, so it's not like we could like pass it to another location or something. So we couldn't even do that. So
Oh, interesting.
yeah.
That's one thing I'd like to throw on top of what Spartan said there is you are allowed 12 extra rec plants per house, but they have to be in a different area. They can't be in with your medical plants. I would just want to point that out as well. If you're counting on those rec plants, they have to be in a separate area for every
As an employee at a commercial grow, I can't have caregiver. I can't be a caregiver at all. So I only have 12 rec plants.
It's a
It's a
blessing,
good thing
right
to
there,
note,
you know?
though, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that are trying to, figure out exactly how many plants they can grow, or, how they can push the limits and what they can do legally. That's always good for people to know.
So I'm kind of interested in your guys' thoughts on this. I went to Wild Bill's the other day to buy some papers and some CBD, because I need to sell CBD before I went and got some ink the other day. And I was quite pleased and shocked to see some of the CBD products they offered there. I couldn't help, but I don't want to show the brand. Okay, so I can believe all the selection of CBD flower that was there. I mean, there was a
Yeah,
lot
they got
different
eighths of
brands.
flour and all kinds of shit. Yeah.
But they had grams of hash for it was like $30 a gram, but they guaranteed it was 20% CBD. I was like, man, I can't believe this shit. I wasn't for $30 for a gram of CBD hash, but it sure did strike up my interest.
That's kind of scary, though. What's
Yeah,
the other
the
80% of
flour.
that hash?
Plant material, I think.
Cat fur.
But man, some
Fuck,
of the
man.
flour,
Floor
man,
scrapings.
didn't look that bad. You could see that. I mean, it didn't look horrible at all. This
Were they
I should have
charging
went
for
with
that?
what I knew, $15 a gram or $15 an eighth.
Oh.
And some of it looked really good. I should have went with my gut what I was looking at there. But the lady, I made the mistake of asking what's the one you sell the most of? And this is where she directed me. I should have went with but it wasn't bad. It was calming. It wasn't as flavorful as I was hoping. I was hoping it might be a little bit terpy at least, but wasn't bad for a CBD product, I guess. I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on what you thought.
I'm interested in the idea of having CBD just so that I can roll joints more often, mix CBD with high THC flower, maybe half and half, so I can smoke 2 joints. I just like smoking a lot.
It would be cool if you could since you can legally use it and everything else, it would be nice if you're at work or something and you go out for a smoke break and you could just bust up and roll that up and burn down. Highly unlikely. I mean, of course you can do that sort of thing, but it doesn't mean it's going to go over too well with your employers.
At the grow off thing, I got a pack of hemp cigarettes from this dude. And those were super nice. And it just tastes like brickweed kind of, and it was like a nice alternative to cigarettes.
Now, are those available, like, to buy? And if they are, how much do those cost, I wonder?
They are. Let me find this dude's Instagram page really quick. But I also have like just hemp flower that I roll up and smoke sometimes. I would be suspicious of people calling it CBD flower because it's probably hemp, which like in my mind, there's a distinction between CBD heavy THC strains and like industrial hemp. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And I got tours of lots of people's, whatever mediocre outdoor hemp farms last fall and tours of lots of people's mediocre drying facilities. And I would just be really careful. If you don't know how to spot like mold and flour and stuff, I would be careful buying it anywhere really. But having seen like, I don't want to shit talk Wild Bills right now, but having seen the CBD edibles that they've had in there for a while, and then the tests for those types of things coming back, I would just be really cautious buying that type of stuff in that type of store. You mean like, don't buy CBD from gas stations, don't, you know what I mean? Make sure that you're, so I'm not saying it's necessarily bad. I haven't seen that there. It's just something that I would be super skeptical of, you know?
Damn you, Kate. Now, that's why I went with the flower. A couple of weeks ago, I kind of mentioned it a little bit, seeing the pre-rolls. And you said, don't buy those. Those have, shit in them. So I thought, when I seen the flower, I'm like, well, fuck, it's flower. How bad can I go now? But now you got to
probably pick the best one, though, of all of your choices.
Yeah, does it have like a name like a cannabis kind of name, or does it have like stupid name?
They had most of them had like strawberry diesel, strawberry cough.
Okay,
shit
there
like
you go.
CBD.
Eagle got the one named Relief, though, or like Spring Breeze or some shit.
No.
Ocean Currents.
Shit?
Well, you gotta be, so what I had told Eagle before is sometimes they'll call them CBD pre-rolls, and it's like a cone and it looks like you're gonna get CBD flower in there or maybe hemp, but what they'll do is make like a CBD infused wrap and then fill the cone with like another smokable herb, which like to me is fucking gross. I don't want to smoke that, you know what I mean? That's not what you think you're getting when you do that. So it's just one of those things you have to be careful with what it is. And in some places, like in Kentucky, it's not legal to sell smokable hemp flower. You know what I mean? In Michigan, I'm pretty sure that it is. I'm pretty positive it is, but you know what I mean? Like they changed the rules. So depending on where you are, you just need to, be informed about what you're buying.
She's so right. You don't go and buy your CBD from the video store. Just because they sell it doesn't mean that it's good or that it's like a reasonable thing to buy.
Yeah, I found some high CBD flower about a year ago at just like a head shop, basically like a herb shop type of thing. And it was supposedly like 20%. They had some test results. They were whatever laboratory it was from. I don't know. I think it was Colorado grown or something. And just like, they had a few jars of just like all kinds of herbs, right? And then they had some, maybe like 3 or 4 different ones that were supposed to be like 18 to 20% CBD. I bought like a little eighth. I think it was like $20 for like an eighth of it. And I think I took like a couple hits out of a bowl. Kind of gave me like a little bit of a headache. So I'm like, I didn't even really mess with it. But I don't know. Who knows what was really giving me a headache that day. Could have been that, might not have been. But the flavor wasn't there. I couldn't really get myself to smoke a whole bowl of it or anything. But it was shipped and old. You could tell it was like bushweed. So, but I just smoked. Go ahead, Kate.
Oh, I was gonna say it's Alt Smokes is their Instagram, and I think the guy said that shipped they're like $20 a pack, which is kind of expensive. But like I pay $8 a pack for fucking Newports, and those are not good for me, you know what I mean? So I've also read a whole bunch of shit recently about how smoking cannabis and hemp can be good for like asthma and stuff because it's a bronchodilator. So like if you're gonna switch from cigarettes to hemp or to, if you're trying to quit cigarettes, it's a pretty good idea, probably, in my opinion.
How many come in a pack though? Is there like what?
20. It's like a pack of cigarettes.
Okay. That ain't bad. I don't think. I think that's a fair price.
Yeah, it sounds like a great alternative to tobacco. I guess it depends on what it's sprayed with, right? What are the regulations on that hemp or whatever? I mean, how much better than cigarettes is it really? I guess there's a lot of caveats to that, but I'd say, you know, it depends on what you want. I mean, it's different than nicotine. It's different than tobacco. I'd say that, but I'd imagine that there's some good organic cigarettes. Those may be too. Those probably are great. I'm sure those are excellently grown, and in which case that would be a perfect alternative. I would definitely, like we're talking about, know your source.
Like this is from his Instagram too. He was like hand growing, hand trimming, hand packing these little hempette cigarettes. So, you know, for me, it seems like a worth it price. And I trust in this instance where it's coming from. But like you're saying, depending on where it is, if you're buying fucking video store hemp cigarettes, you're probably not getting the same thing as this dude that's hand trimming shit in his living room or wherever, you know, and packing them up. So again, consider the source.
Well, and then think about this too. If you, let's say that you did this, you slit all of those open, you broke it down, and you weighed it out. And you said, okay, how much of this do I actually have right here? How much does it take to roll up 20? You start figuring it out. You're like, you know what, man, I can afford to do this. This is good.
Well, and consider those things too when you're buying products like edibles, where you don't get to see what went into them when you see the product that you get when it's done. Like, you don't necessarily know what it was infused with, what that looks like. It could have been the blackest black tar horrible product you've ever seen, or not even test with, you know, anything in it. It could have, you know, every different thing. When I was into cigars, you could get cigars that had floor scrapings in them that looked like legit cigars, you know, because people could fake them that well. So like you got to be aware of the kind of supply chain and where you're getting your stuff from quite a bit. Like people will hide their worst product in edibles, you know, so you really got to trust the people that you're getting those things from.
Dubious sources.
Yeah, and that's one of those big reasons that I didn't finish smoking the rest of that bag that I had purchased from that head shop. You know, I didn't really trust that source, even though I saw test results and stuff. I was ignorant to the fact of what kind of other tests to kind of look for. Like I said, this was a year plus ago. Who knows how long ago it was? But it was CBD was pretty much on the legal end, and so that's what they were selling. And it gave me a headache. So I was like, who knows? I'm not going to smoke the rest of this. You know what? On that note, guys, it's like 10:30, and I am going to do like a final shout out and peace out of here real quick. Shout out to New Standard. They had to bump their opening date back for their medical dispensary. That is medical. They're hoping that they're going to get rec in the next few weeks after that, but they bumped it back to the 23rd. And then, you know, holler at me if anybody has any questions about updates since that, or obviously holler at them. And cheers, everybody. Cheers, chat.
Thanks, Ryan.
Cheers, everybody on the panel. Love all you guys. Peace out.
Later.
See you,
Hey,
Red.
Red.
Resurrection Project Profit in the chat says the tobacco company hides their worst product in chew, which I think is interesting.
Oof.
Dude, if you like weird history and shit, look up stuff about the tobacco wars in Kentucky. I got to like learn about that when I went down there on my little hemp tour this summer, and like just super interesting shit. I don't remember any of it right now, of course, but
Oh, you're just teasing the information.
if you're stuck inside and you need to look something up, look up the Kentucky tobacco wars and then tell me about it because I forget. But I remember the
Was it like the 1800s?
No, it was like
1870s.
more recent than that. I'm like real bad with timelines though, so it's like I don't know, after the Civil War, I think. Hold on, I'll look stuff up about it.
I love how she says, look it up and then tell me about it because I forgot all about it. It's fucking awesome.
Never change, Kate.
Yeah, please don't.
I like hearing interesting stories or whatever, and sometimes they stick with me for a really long time and sometimes they don't. But I at least like remembered what that was, you know what I mean?
Remembered it was interesting enough that you should look it up again someday.
It's a breadcrumb you left yourself.
Yep.
So while you're looking that up,
Guilty.
Sorry, it's the Black Patch Tobacco Wars. Hold on.
I found if it's got good narration, I watch just about fucking anything. Or I listen to a lot of Audible books. Same thing. I listen to a lot of shit if it's got a decent narration to it.
I missed my calling.
I was always told that myself, that I should have been in radio. They said, "Oh, you got a voice for radio." I was like, "What are you trying to call me?"
It's never too late. It's never too late.
Man, I think I'd rather grow weed than be on the radio, though.
Yeah.
I can do both.
Spartan, yeah, you're halfway from doing both anyway. What the fuck are you talking about, man? All you gotta
Basically
do is
do
stop
both.
talking about weed and play radio, or go to a talk radio. You're there, brother. You're halfway there.
Okay, so I
You
remember
do a
what it
morning
was
show?
now. I can tell you about the Black Patch Tobacco Wars real quick. So basically, the American Tobacco Group screwed a bunch of their farmers over and were like not going to pay them as much for the tobacco as they had promised. So all of the farmers agreed to hold out until they gave them a higher price and just not sell it. But then some of the farmers like caved because they needed the money. So then the other farmers just went and like fucking burned all their shit to the ground. So for 5 years in Kentucky, it was just these people fucking riding around on horses, burning each other's shit to the ground because of a tobacco company
Savage.
being shitty. Yeah,
Year is this? Since your wiki?
Kentucky.
No, what year?
Oh, 1904 to 1909.
There we go.
I think
Yeah, they had cars. What are they riding around on horses for? Get with the times. If you're gonna burn somebody out, do it efficiently.
I was just gonna say, I think that's just a Tuesday out there, man. I think that's just what they do.
Tuesdays in Kentucky.
You don't do that shit in Kentucky. What do you think's gonna happen when you do shit like, oh my gosh?
So I was talking to Philly Grown 215 on Instagram today.
Wait,
and,
hold on. I just have to say, wait, never mind. Go ahead.
He was asking me a question about, or wanted to talk about how pH changes in relation to water temperature. I thought it was interesting enough that it was worth talking about. How the warmer it gets, your pH goes, let's see, at around 25 Celsius, a pH of 6.0 will be, here, I'll just share this chart here. It's very interesting.
It makes a huge difference. But if you've got a good pen, like a Blue Labs pen or something like that, it takes temperature into account for it. But it doesn't if you got a cheap eBay one.
I'm too high to explain it for some reason, but yeah, so the pH will be way different depending on how your temperature is. So you definitely want to take it into account when you're mixing your water solution. It's very, very neat.
Well, not just when you're mixing your water solution, but you have to take into consideration what the water solution's temperature will be during that week of feeding or however long it is in between reservoir changes if it happens to be in the room. You know, some people do, like they have the flood table with it right underneath. So if your ambient temperature in your room is 81 degrees, I mean, your water temperature is going to be up there too. And I'm stupid. I don't know what 21 degrees Celsius you said. I have no idea how to convert that. So I'm sure I'm not alone out there.
Well, that chart, it says it's showing the water dissociation constant with temperature effects for the pH in 5 solutions, 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, and 8, all at the same temperature. So like it shows a water of a pH of 6 at 25 C was at one level, and then how it changed depending on temperature. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, but I'm looking at the beginning of that chart and the end of the chart. They're not that big of a difference, even with that large of a temperature change. So,
yeah, it's not a significant difference, but it's around a 1 point over 100 degrees or something like that.
I wanted to address Smiley's garden. Shout out to you, Smiley. He asked in chat, he said that he thought to be rec, you have to get the medical license first, and rec plants can't exceed the medical plant count. So there's kind of two things to that. The first thing about that you have to be medical first, you might just be confused in that they gave the people with medical licenses the first shot at getting a rec license. I'm not sure if they've opened the window yet for somebody who's not medical to apply yet, but people who already have a medical license can. We were able to apply last year, the end of last year. And then the second part of your question about the plant counts, we applied for an equivalent license on the rec side. So you know how you have the ABC license. On the rec side, that middle license, which is the one that we hold, is on the medical side 1,000, but on the rec side it's 2,000. So we get to exceed the plant count, you know, because we're the equivalent license on the other side, because they have larger
That's
plant
neat.
counts. Yeah, they have larger plant counts on the rec side. So I hope I answered.
Cool.
I just want to say to Skillboat that the Model T wasn't widely available in the United States until 1908. That's when it first got produced. So they were on horses.
But they had 1 year of efficiency, right? You said 1909. Did they get that 1 year of
We
proper
got 1
burnouts?
year of proper burnouts.
That's what made the shit come to a stop, man. They said, "Screw this. I ain't
These guys are
selling out."
burning shit down now
Solidarity.
30 times faster.
I don't think dudes torching other dudes' barns were like first on the list to buy cars or learn how to drive them.
They could have driven their price up by that point. There was a supply and demand issue.
Stuart, fetch the car. We're burning down Louis Field.
But it's also funny because they like have these giant barns where they like just have fires burning to like fire cure tobacco leaves.
Super hot, right?
Yeah, well, it's like the coolest shit ever and it smells so good. But like, I was like, how often do these things catch on fire? And they're like, oh, all the time. Because they're just made of wood and it's just shit burning in there, you know? And like these farmers will just like put like a fucking, just like whoop, a bandana on and like go in. And then like 10 minutes later come out and you're like, dude, I thought you died. But so they burn down all the time anyway. So it's just an interesting thing that they would go burn each other's barns down when that was already a problem they had.
One of my favorite cigars is called the Kentucky Fire Cured cigar, and that's what they do is they hang dry tobacco and then start a fire in the barn. So the cigars actually taste
Smoked.
kind of like barbecue. Yeah, it's really, really cool.
I got another question here. America, well, I guess it originally was from Cobra, but American one caught my attention. They wanted to know, does the state ever, you know, they were talking about plant counts at the commercial level, and he was saying, do you think they'll be coming around to count? I've been there since July, and I've been there for 3 or 4 inspections. Yeah, so they come out and they look. They don't have to. They can. These are RFID tags, so from outside the building, they know how many of those tags are in there anyway. So, but yeah, they're allowed in whenever they decide to show up. A lot of times they'll go ahead and give us a call and let us know they're coming in, but they can show up at any time. We've had fire inspections where we're out to lunch and there's a fire inspector at the door, so you know, we have to eat fast. So yep, we get inspected all the time there.
Always cool when you guys brag about passing surprise inspections, though, you know? Like,
For
hell
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, that's why, you know, we keep it clean, because you never know who's going to show up next, man. It seems like there's always
Fucking parade, right?
Yeah, I guess because it's a new industry, they don't really know how to act yet, so we're always on our toes.
Damn, talking about mint Canico's got me thinking of the smell in that sour garlic cookie room.
That one tested out at 28%, I believe. It was pretty high testing.
It's just fire, man. Like crazy.
He must be good at selecting phenos.
Telling you, man, I am. I'm good at picking these fucking things.
I wonder if Matt got them all tested or not, or if he just picked one and then got it tested afterwards.
That's what happened. Yep, we grew sour. Yeah, no, that was the guava we grew in the facility. He did the pheno hunt on that sour garlic himself and brought in the one he felt was the best, but he didn't get it tested. We didn't have it tested until we grew it at Mid-Canico.
And what a result!
Yeah,
Good
for
for
sure.
you guys.
What about the Han Solo burger? I mean, that's crazy numbers.
There was a cut, I can't remember who, but that was one that was sourced by Steven and through one of his connections.
So Narwhal from the Grow Off had a question. He was wondering how to avoid damping off his seeds since he had a problem with that in some of his Grow Off plants. So there's a few ways that we could talk about it. Of course, popping seeds in a very sterile environment, media, the seeds themselves. Like some people clean seeds before they pop them, and other things like that. I was reading about
That's hydrogen peroxide you're talking about.
Yeah, I was reading about the normal causes of damping off in seeds, and some that seem to apply to cannabis is pythium, and then basically it said use antifungal measures to try to avoid it. Copper, different shit like that. Of course, they said the most effective product was banned and last legal in 2011. So I couldn't give you an idea of what to use, but and then the Dro says avoid low humidity.
Okay, so I would say the biggest thing is to don't overwater, and that's going to happen a lot, and it's very common with the smaller the plant that you have. So if you're starting to seed in even a 1 gallon pot, that's kind of a big pot for a little seed. So you have to be really careful about how much water you only need. You could probably get a spray bottle and just do a couple spritz of water on that seed, every other day or something until you actually get some action. And I think what's happening with when people get damping off is they're watering their media really heavy with water that it just sits there wet for days and it doesn't dry out for over a week. And that's just the breeding ground for all kinds of pathogens and things. And that's, I think 90% of the issue is going to be, put it in a smaller pot. You want the thing to dry out eventually. So put it in a smaller pot and don't water as much, I think is going to be your biggest improvement by just doing those two things. Other than that, if you're still doing that and running into issues, think of it at the level of what you're fighting. You're fighting a fungus. There's bacteria that will make, if they're present and they make association with, especially, I just brought this up in this last podcast, Fusarium. If this bacteria is present, the Fusarium actually will be beneficial to your plant and it won't cause the dampening off. So what I'm saying is if the soil that you're putting it in, if it's a living soil, if it's got a lot of bacteria and beneficial microbes in it, that's going to help you. So if you already know you have that issue, one way to clean up your soil from these pathogens is to continue to add in some good microbes. And those are all the ways I would go.
I would follow it with something else, and it's something you already do, which is SIPs. But when you have a small plant and you've overwatered it in the past, sometimes if you're in like a container gardening, like say a 1 gallon or something, I used to try to do bottom watering so that I would make that plant really, really try to reach for the bottom of the pot where it's wet rather than just keeping the top of it. So I've always thought of it as like my plants don't want to have soggy feet. So I want to make sure that there is an area so that there's an air exchange going on, or that's what we have is the dampening off. I'm not the greatest person at it because I've suffered from that. I used to always be afraid, like when I would take cuts, they would say like, oh, you got to open the vent. You got to open the vent. Well, I would be a pussy about it. And I'd be like, oh, I don't want to open the vents. I'm really scared. If I open the vents, it's, I came back in 5 minutes and there was no humidity on the inside of the dome. It's not going to make it, blah, blah, blah. Well, I was just creating problems for myself because the plant was so used to having an issue too. So, there's just overwatering is something that I think separates rookie growers from someone who's more experienced. And the only reason they're more experienced is because they used to overwater too.
I agree 1000% with what both of you just said. As somebody that sold seeds, and that was my biggest complaint, when they call me with any kind of failure rate, I'm like, well, what'd you do? How'd you do it? And it was almost always keeping that soil soaked. And me, myself, I like root right cubes is my favorite method. I like to put them upside down in this here. This is my magic dome. I like to keep them in here until, I see them sprouting up. I can control everything, humidity, everything. And I'll keep them in here even though they sprouted till I see roots coming out the bottom, even maybe the side. And I like to see them cubes, not like a dark brown, but I like to see them dry out to a nice light. And then, I almost do like a flood and drain in this. When I see them root riots get a nice light color, not white or light color, but, lighter than that dark brown, I'll, let it soak this a little bit and let them soak up everything. But I want to see them roots pop out of them root riot cubes before I transplant them seeds into anything. And by the time you've got roots popping out of them, they're pretty durable for their next stage.
Well, yeah,
So
because
that's
think
my
about it.
little-
Why would the plant ever grow roots if you keep it saturated all the time? It has no reason to shoot roots
Exactly.
out of the base of the plant to go look for water because you're keeping it half drowned anyway.
Yep, that's what I was going to say, is that you want to make sure that those root riot cubes do dry out a little bit. Otherwise, you won't get quick root development at all. That's one of the keys to the whole process. We have 10 minutes to go, guys. Is there anything you guys wanted to cover before we go into final shout outs? I think we did really good for a show when everybody's a little bit sick and going through it.
We gave the people a lot of shit to think about for their own gardens, and what another great way to spend a Sunday night, man. I've been looking forward to it since yesterday.
Wildcat says, she gone.
I know I got a full week ahead. Making some good hash, hopefully some good content coming up this week. I'm a little bummed. I had some beautiful material set aside for that hash wrap blunt for the hash bash there, but maybe we can still make something happen, a little private event among us somewhere where we can still at least burn down in celebration of the hash bash or whatever, still get together or something. But that'd be cool. But that's my week. I'm gonna fucking be working out some good hash. What do you guys got going this future week?
Actually, I'm probably going to run hash this week as well. Super excited.
What's your source?
Garlic cane and
Ooh.
snow cane for Growly popping in right here at the end.
Time for my obligatory. Cut me in or cut it out.
I'm gonna have.
Yeah, for Growly.
I'm excited that I got some of that blueberry quintessa that I'll be able to start trimming this week. So
I'm getting ready to flip mine into flour.
hopefully by next show I'll be able to at least tell you what it tastes like, smells like. Probably throw some pictures up on Instagram.
Dude, my next grow is all you, man.
Oh, you got GG4, Spartan Glue.
I got that Deadlights. You know what I mean?
Or headlights, yeah.
I was really impressed, Spartan, with that blue cough. I just got finished trimming it. All of my plants were small because I ran my whole run with my lights turned down a little bit. But the nug size in proportion to the plant, I was really impressed with like how thick the nugs were on that plant and the smell off of them and all of that stuff. So I definitely got to get another cut of that one from you.
Yeah, it's a special plant for sure. And it's right now I've got some plants in there right now that are just some massive I'm worried about bud rot because they're just huge.
Yeah, they are big nugs, man. I'm really impressed with the plant for sure. So thanks for giving me a chance to run it. Now I got to run it again, truly, and see what
I got to take cuts off of them.
I might have to grab another crescendo from you if you have it.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to. I tried to cut a clone off of it in flower. Like it was probably about 4 weeks in flower, but I cut a clone anyways. I'm trying to get it to go. We'll see what happens. But
it'll take.
I was in flower and I realized, damn, I never got a clone off of that. So I was like, fuck it, I'll give it a try.
That's one I'll always have too, so you don't gotta worry about that one going anywhere.
Dude, I totally messaged Sequence late as fuck at night. Like, bro, this shit, I finally let it hang and dry. Not the crescendo, the citral glue. I was like, bro, I finally let this thing like hang and dry properly. And I finally just ground it up. And oh my God, thank you so much for, giving me some meds, man. So it's nice to know, like, as a caregiver, that you're helping other people outside of just helping them immediately with here, this medication. No, it's like, here's this, and you can, get down with it how you need to.
Yeah, man. I felt like when you get a review like that from someone, it's like you taught them how to fish rather than handed them a fish. It's like, here's some meds forever. versus here's a bag of something that might work for you.
Always
So,
appreciative, man.
Yeah, as a grower to a grower, that's like the coolest thing you can do for somebody for sure. Like I was saying about the blue cough, it's like really, really good stuff. Or like, actually I can show Eagle. This is what I've been smoking all show. 9-pound hammer that I got from Eagle Gardens. That's what's in that jar. So you got to have really cool friends like that and get cool cuts from them. Trust them that way. What's up, Frigoli? You popped in right at the end. We're getting ready to do final shout outs and stuff.
We hang on for a minute. We're good.
Popped in right at the end. We're getting ready to do final shout outs.
Yeah, I finally got done with my gardening. Hopefully you guys can hear me.
Yeah.
What's going on in your garden right now? What were you just doing?
Just feeding for the night, really. Just got back from celebrating my little brother's birthday, and had to put some time in the garden before I called it a night. But Eagle reached out and said, "Hey, hop on in," when he saw me jump in the chat. So I figured, hey, why not? I just got to feed the veg at this point and just mix up some newts and come right on. So just happy to swing by.
We're really happy with seeing you putting the content back out and opening things back up and really pushing some new genetics through there, man. It's great to see.
Oh yeah, it's quite a shit show though. Let me tell you, because we're ahead in the garden than we are on YouTube. So you guys are gonna have some fun content coming up. Trust me.
The shit show, he says.
Appreciate you coming on, man. And it's awesome that you're putting out content again. I can't wait to sit down and watch.
Yeah, man, it's like, it's so easy to put content on Instagram, it's really just like a point and click kind of thing. But with YouTube, it's like feels so much more planned and so much like there's so much more that goes to it, where I'm trying to minimize that, as you guys saw from my first video. But, we'll see. It's I'm still filming. I got, I think, four videos shot already, and I'll probably be doing another one tomorrow. I think tomorrow marks day 35 tomorrow.
So in my opinion, people have a lot higher expectation of quality on YouTube than they do like on a live show, for example, because it's not as planned. When you've got the time to actually prepare a video and stuff, they expect it to be a little bit nicer.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm just rambling. You know what I mean? I'm just like grab my camera, throw it in my gimbal, like click record, open the door, and just start talking, just kind of sharing those updates. Medicropper inspired me to get on YouTube years ago, and that's really how he did his videos. Every once in a while he had a cut or do a little edit or whatever. But I've done the for my level, high level production, stuff here on YouTube. And it's exhausting. It takes so much time. It's, I really commend people like Vader that continuously, can pump out these like actually well-produced voiceover scripted videos. It's insane amount of work.
Dude, your 12 days series and stuff like that's a lot of work. Don't sell yourself short on any of that.
Yeah. And, I think with what's going on, and if we do end up getting like forced to be quarantined, I think you guys should probably expect. I'm just going to drop it
more
here.
Content drop, man.
Yeah.
More content. People will be watching.
I'll throw it out now because I missed the 12 days of Wake and Bake for this past year. I was too busy. I'm going to attempt to do the 20 days of 420 because we'll be 420 for the entire month of April. That's so perfect. The 20th video will be on 420. So now that I put that out there in the universe, I have to do it.
Yep.
Before we take off, I got to ask for Girly one question, man. So far, any early standouts in your pheno hunt? Anything that's really catching your eye yet?
I thought Vader's Vintage was going to be one of my weakest plants, and it seems to be one of the strongest, beefiest male-looking plants. That's what the ones I was calling out as male, and they turned out to be several of them turned out to be female. The Cutlass Supreme surprisingly came through. What else stands out? I'm really digging the Mimosa from Med Grower, but that's kind of already hunted, right? And then the Slur King.
Primal.
So Primal Punch and Beard on Fire are actually still in their solo cups. I popped those last full moon, or I guess like a full moon and a half ago or whatever, whereas all the rest of this stuff is in flower. So yeah, the Primal Punch F2s, they're just little seedlings. I haven't sexed them yet. They'll be the next round, part 2 of 2020.
Yeah. I'm excited to see your product.
Them Primal 2s, every one I got was had a beautiful banana taste all the way through.
I totally
think
got Red
Skibbo
Setter
got
with
a
that.
little bit.
Yeah, I told him, I was like, oh my God, I wish I could stereotypical right now. I said, it tastes like 1970s, like breakfast cereal bananas, man. It was just like, So
Huh.
I don't smoke joints to that. I'm gonna be
Beautiful.
honest with you. I don't want to burn through it that quick. I only smoke that in like my little chillum and stuff like that. So I'm a little thrifty, but it's delicious.
I've got one behind me here. Oh, it's closed up now. But that F2's got fucking stems like that big, man. Right out of the cocoa there. It's amazing. You're gonna be happy with her.
Well, I agree with the F1s, and I mean, I kept a couple phenos of that for several rounds because I mean, it just turned out so great, and it was a pretty solid producer. I mean, the terps are on point, the frost was on point, but it produced pretty high volume. Are you guys seeing with that with the F2s as well?
Yes, it's actually a bigger yielder, I think, than the F1s for sure. Bud structure is a lot bigger than the F1s. All around, it's a primal, but it's a different plant. It's really banana. It's punch leaner. Every one I've got is banana punch leaner, and I have no complaints here. I'm running both of them right now. I have both. One of them's like a grapey. You can tell the Gorilla Glue in it. And then the F2's all banana. And I ain't getting rid of either one. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to your content because I've got much respect for you, of course, as an extract artist. But I always like to see where your material is, that starting product is what gets me. I can't wait to see what you're running and what she looks like before she gets where she does.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate everybody's support and feedback. It can be challenging, but I'm you guys are a source of inspiration nowadays too, because you are some of the most active people on here, and I appreciate that.
Mutual Michigan love, man. That's what it's all about. You guys blazed the trail for us early on, and we're just picking up where y'all left off. Now y'all are back, so
Yeah,
one big happy family.
We'll have to get you back for a whole show for Girly. We'll have to schedule for you for one of these.
Yeah, hit me up. I can make myself available, especially Sundays. I love this slot.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect,
man.
We got to roll into final shout outs. I know 'cause some of us got to wake up in the morning and all of that stuff. Spartan, you're first.
I'm Spartan Grown. You can find me on Instagram. I just want to say growers loved everybody. I just close it out like I always do. Just say growers love. I just love hanging with everybody every week. It's awesome to have people like Frugoli on here. People we used to sit there and watch. Now here we're sitting here doing a show. So it's cool to see that come full circle. So love that kind of stuff. Love you guys. I'm out.
Thank you, Spartan. The Can of Kate.
I just wanted to say thanks for coming out and hanging out with us. It was nice to have something to do and talk about that wasn't, so heavy. And I appreciate everybody in chat. And I appreciate Frugoli for hopping in. Always nice to see you. And I'll see everybody next week.
Thank you, Kate. Eagle.
Same. I appreciate the chance to be here every week. I appreciate Frugoli for jumping in. I love talking to you guys. Getting to watch chat this week was amazing. All was going on, even though I don't get to interact as much as I'd like to, but I am reading and watching as I talk to you guys, and you guys have built a real cool thing here, a real cool community to be a part of. And thank you for letting me be a part of it, and thank you everybody for being here and being a part of it as well. And I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, Eagle. Frugoli, you want to shout out your YouTube and your Instagram?
Yeah, just FREGROWI. It's me, Frugoli. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, all those places. Well, really just Instagram and YouTube. Thanks for having me on, guys.
And you can find Frugoli at Arborside. Skilbo.
Skilbo1 on Instagram, Skilbo17 on here. I want to give a quick plug to tomorrow night's drop of the Late Sesh episode 3 with me and Red Setter Farm. So if you all got nothing going on, drop by for the premiere. We'll have a nice chat. Other than that, be safe,
yeah.
wash your hands, and don't fucking overreact and panic. Smoke more weed.
Yeah, and I just want to remind everyone that we got an episode of the main show with Cocoa Extracts. Interview with them tomorrow. Talk to them about CRC a little bit. Talk to them about solvent versus solventless a little bit. It was a nice short one, so you can fit it into your busy schedule. Check that one out tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching the show. We really, really appreciate it. Please tell your friends. Check out the merch page. Check out the Patreon. Have a good night.
Later, Groskies.